Hello again, everyone, and welcome to The Crusher. I'm your host, Josh Brewster, with my esteemed co-host, my lovely and talented co-host, Susan Olson. And today we're very happy to welcome from the Crusher News team, our lead news anchor, Cherie Currie, is here. Cherie, thank you for joining us today. And hello, Susan.
Hello.
Great to see you guys. Yeah.
Great to
Cherie,
have you, Cherie.
Thank you, sister. I love you. Thank you so
I
much.
love you.
Well, I'll tell you what I have to say. We appreciate Cherie hopping in because I understand she's about to head off to Europe for a tour with her band. Isn't that right?
Yeah, well, my band is actually Alex, Michael, and Shameless. They're in Germany right now. So yes, it's just little old me.
Oh wow, cool. How many dates do you have? You have a lot of dates there, I saw.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 dates.
Very nice. All
Pretty
right.
quick.
Very nice. All right. Well, listen, let's get right into it. We have a few news items to talk about today, and Cherie, hang there with us as long as you can. I know you're busy.
Oh, no, you got me. You got me
Okay.
for the duration. I'm just
All right.
I'd like to hear some news myself. It's
All
always bad.
Yeah, you can always count on that.
Yeah.
And all right, so here's what prompted me to call you. And there are some bigger news items, but there was a very interesting news item which prompted me to call you. Our California Governor Gavin Newsom signed a law opposing parental notification. This is from EdSource, a trailblazing state law prohibiting California school boards from passing resolutions that require teachers and school staff to notify parents if they believe a child is transgender isn't likely to put an end to this polarizing issue. So it's called the Support Academic Futures and Educators for Today's Youth, or as the acronym indicates, the Safety Act. This is right, by the way, this is right out of Ayn Rand. They just call it something that's for your own good or it sounds wonderful. But anyway, the legislation was passed in response to more than a dozen California school boards that proposed or passed parental notification policies in just over a year. In response, the Liberty Justice Center, a conservative nonprofit, said it filed a lawsuit challenging the new law on behalf of Chino Valley Unified. Cherie, you've had a lot to say about the grooming of kids. I think this is an adult decision. I got no problem with anyone being transgender. That's damn sure. But this is children, and you've had a lot to say about this. So I would love to get your thoughts.
Well, this is right out of 1984.
Yeah,
Orwell.
That's exactly
this
what
is.
it is. Yeah.
This is fascism. This is communism. This is Gavin Newsom really stepped over the line this time. I mean, we just lost Elon Musk and SpaceX specifically for this reason, that Gavin Newsom believes that government, the state, can take our children. And what he just did is he ruined his chance. Now, again, that's a little scary for me because I know that the left, they seem to reward ineptitude and bad job performance and insanity. But to me, he will never become president because of this. He can't. I mean, this is the absolute distinction of fascism, is it not, Susan?
It
Is it not?
absolutely is. And I would say that the left aren't so much rewarding ineptitude, they're rewarding fascism.
Yes,
and of course,
very true.
all the while going, they're fascists.
Yeah.
Well, look, the complete teardown, the complete cultural Marxist teardown of all of our norms is what this represents. And I think a lot of people, because, again, it's dressed up as, this is from the liberal or the Democratic side. It's really not. It's a Marxist thing to deconstruct everything, and gender and sexuality itself. Tearing gender down is part of this package. And a lot of people, they just can't wrap their heads around it because they don't sit and think about this stuff all day. But that really is what this is. And I'm going to leap to this. Folks, this is grooming of children for transgender puberty blockers and surgeries.
It's stealing.
Irreversible.
It's stealing.
Look,
a generation of children are being stolen, Josh. A generation of children. And they are being educated to turn their backs on their parents and their families. and because the state, they are the ones that will take care of them.
Yeah.
And Gavin Newsom, he is the most evil
Yeah.
politician I have ever seen in my almost 65 years on this planet. He is an absolute threat to our freedom, to our sovereignty, to our liberty. This guy is a monster. He
Everything
is
they
a
try to say
monster.
about Trump is really true about Newsom, and I'd say even tops
Exactly.
Hillary. I
Yeah.
would even believe he's one of those
Look.
lizard people.
Yeah, I agree. No, I'm serious.
City.
You're right, sister. You're absolutely right.
Well, look, free healthcare, it comes from the taxpayers. Free healthcare for illegals, open borders, and it just on and on and on it goes. But look, somebody said the other day, I can't remember, it had been Patricia Heaton, but she's like, "Can we just let kids go through puberty?"
It's tough enough.
Adolescence is a very weird time, and there's all kinds of confusion. Everybody, me, you, everybody, whether you're gay or you're straight, things like this. Whether you're gay or straight, this is not something that, you're talking about irreversible treatments, irreversible surgeries. And aside from the fact that, parents do have rights, kids can't
Yeah.
enter into contracts. They can't enter into contracts. There's a lot of things kids can't do because they're kids. But if a
Okay.
12-year, go ahead. I was going to say a 12-year-old boy says, give me puberty blockers. A 14-year-old girl says, give me a double mastectomy. This is the height of insanity. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I just went in for my pre-tour checkup with my doctor, and his assistant, she's a friend of mine, and she shared with me that her just about 9-year-old, he's really 8, came home and said, "Mom, I know what gay means." And she said, "What did you say?" He goes, "I know what gay means. My teacher taught me." And she also showed me pictures of penises and vaginas. And she told me that people are asexual. This is a kid. And she went to the school and she talked to this teacher, and she's pulling him out right now.
You mean
Right
she
now.
didn't get arrested?
This is
She
a
didn't
this
have
is a
to get
woman.
on an FBI list?
This is a woman, and she has books that she shows pre-pubescent children about their privates and other kids' privates. And she's teaching to her at sex education. This is a child. This is a baby. This is 8 years old, 8, just about 9. But she's pulling him out, putting him in a charter school or a private school. I mean, for her to have to pull him from public school because this is what they are teaching babies behind parents' backs, and they think this is okay. This is pitchfork and torch time as far as I'm concerned. This is when we start, descending upon these schools as parents. My child is 33, but I'm telling you, I would join any group of people that wanted to storm these schools, go through absolutely every single book, look at the curriculum of what they're teaching these children, and stop this madness, because they are, and Newsom is at the top of the chopping block as far as I'm concerned. As you can
Susan,
tell, I'm pretty pissed off.
We
You
used
should
to
be.
have to get a parental consent form signed to go see our little film about menstruation because it was part of sex ed.
Well, here's the thing that really gets me, and this is really at the crux of this, is when you're going to tell a child that whether if you were born with this set of genitals or those genitals, it doesn't matter because this is all just a choice we make. This is insanity.
It's child abuse.
It is,
it's
and
child
they're not
abuse.
teaching them anything that's going to. I know more about history. I don't even have a 10th grade education. I know more about history than these people they're graduating from these esteemed colleges and universities. I am smarter, not only having 3 months into 10th grade. I am smarter than those that have graduated college. And I'm telling you, the dumbing down is on purpose.
Of course.
And this is so that, and these kids, I've never seen young people speak the way they do. They have no vocabulary skills. They have no ability to survive in this world the way they've been taught. I mean, this again is Agenda 21. This is stealing a generation of children. They don't teach them math. They don't teach them history. They don't teach them good grammar. Like is every other word. I'm like, do it it's like, oh my God, I'm so appalled and disgusted that a rock and roller from the 70s
that
has to
knows
listen to this. I mean,
and
I should, yeah.
and knows more than their teachers. Susan, let me get your reflections on this, Susan. Cherie mentioned, the parents taking action against these schools. It's really interesting that the administration that we have right now, hopefully not for long, as soon as this was a pivotal moment when COVID opened up the kids' classrooms and people came to the little screens where the kids should never have been home in the first place. But they look at the screen and they're listening to this crap being taught. Then the parents show up at school board meetings, and now the administration says these people are the greatest threat. The parents, they're their school, there are schools, but they're the greatest threat to your democracy, even over and above ISIS and Hamas or whatever. And these people are all deplorable. They should be arrested. They're white supremacists. They're just asking, what the hell is with this curriculum, Susan? Do you know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. And, like I said, they are introducing fascism into our lives. All the while, it's very clever. You point at the other guy and you say they're the fascists.
And you call it the Safety Act, so it
Yes.
sounds nice, right?
Yes, and we've had a president, and I isolated a bit of his speech where he looked amazingly like a guy with a little mustache. He had this red background, and he was going on about how the most dangerous people were the MAGA Republicans.
Yeah.
I've never
Yeah, it's
witnessed
unreal.
a president calling half of his constituents dangerous. Now those are fighting words, and I'm sorry, but I blame him for recent things that have happened.
Well, let's Cherie, unless you have anything else to add to this this transgender madness directed at our kids. Again, if it's an adult decision, I don't care. If there's anything else you'd like to add, I wanted to move on to the story of the millennium, which is the Trump assassination. But if you have anything to add, go ahead now.
Well, all I can say, and I can guarantee you this, I mean, we're going to stop this. I mean, if it means blood in the streets, we'll stop it because if these children, they're our future, and we are not going to walk away from this. We will not turn our backs on this. And people that support this, you better watch out because we got you in our sights. And with that, I will say good effing luck. There we go.
And I'll be right there with you, Cherie, because my son is 28. Thank God. I went through enough of this just because he was on the spectrum, and there were interferences that I'm very sensitive about. Okay, now you're getting a little too far into our lives. But I'll do anything to help the kids. I know children. I have child students, and I don't want to see them fall into this. And it's not about transgender. It's not about whatever they're trying to say. It's about taking kids away from their parents so that they'll listen to the state. I was backstage at Stephen Colbert listening to Elizabeth Warren going on and on and on and on. She never came back to the green room. I would love to have been in the audience to raise my hand because she was going on and on about childcare, how important childcare is, and I wanted to raise my hand.
And abortion, childcare and abortion, childcare and abortion.
Okay,
I mean, that's all she talks about.
I am extremely pro-choice, so
me too.
Okay.
To a limit, of course. But anyway, no. But I mean, I agree with you 100%, Susan.
Raise your child. Because I wanted to raise my hand and say, well, what about creating a situation where one of the parents can afford to stay home and raise the children? I'm sure that wouldn't have gone over well.
Also, it's the idea of the state raising the children or the state playing this kind of a role. Again, kids can't enter contracts. Let's pivot now to the story of the millennium. Donald Trump there was an assassination attempt. We all saw it. I will make this observation, but I'm dying to get your comments, Cherie and Susan, I will say this. There is a lot very fishy about this. However, I'll tell you, I don't need a conspiracy theory, and I'm going to put it to you this way, and you can tell me whatever you think. A shocking level of stupidity and incompetence by the people who are entrusted with keeping the president safe, plus a crazed gunman, is more than enough chaos for me. I don't even need a conspiracy theory or there's something larger here. I am perfectly willing to believe that they are this incompetent, and there is a crazy, and there are crazy people everywhere. I guarantee you he's not the first one who ever tried to bring a rifle to one of these things. So I'm just going to lay it out there that incompetence plus crazy gunman is chaotic enough for me. However, there is a lot fishy about this. Cherie, I'll start with you. What are your thoughts on this awful event? And again, it's just millimeters from the killing of Donald Trump.
Well, I'm going to blame Jill Biden for this. And
Yes.
also because of her DEI bull, and that she would take that woman and put her in charge of Secret Service for Trump. I mean, this woman, all you have to do is look. You can't have a 5'3", Secret Service agent for a man that's 6'2". And plus, she couldn't even holster her gun. These are it's Jill Biden's fault. And again, it's this soft, flowery bullcrap that the Biden administration, with all the people flocking around on the lawn of the White House, the transgender, full breasts, naked breasts on, it's so absolutely pathetic. And it is, literally my brain could explode with their absolute idiocy on Jill Biden. And this is her fault. This is her fault to have this, to suggest to her senile husband that this is the person that should head the Secret Service. And that woman should have stepped down the day
That's right.
Trump was shot.
That's right.
But the thing is that she won't. She won't.
Oh, no. She'll have some line of bullshit.
Well, yeah.
She had one job. You got one job. Susan, your thoughts?
Well, and it goes, I think, a little bit further with Jill, because only an hour away, Jill was speaking, and Jill needed Secret Service. And Kamala Harris was speaking somewhere. So you've got your Secret Service stretched thin. I would imagine that all the tall men were protecting Jill because, she's more of she has more of a threat than Trump. Just through things like that, just by who knows? This could have been going on for a while. It could be, if you look at the records, that Jill has had a speaking engagement, or somebody else has, every time Trump has, and that's taken away the top Secret Service people. But consider this. Biden has done like any dictator would, tried to eliminate the competition. He refused Secret Service to
RFK to this day. Yeah.
No, he decided to give it to him because Trump shamed him into it. So he's doing that. He has tried to eliminate Trump as his competition by jailing him, which didn't work. Yeah. He was hoping he would die in jail because they were going to send him to Rikers, which is ridiculous. It's for a bookkeeping error. They're going to send him to Rikers, where he could conveniently have an accident, just like Epstein. So Biden has been trying to get this guy killed. Why would you trust Biden's Secret Service?
Well, there is no other Secret Service, Susan,
but Trump can hire some other people. Well, I think that's why Elon's giving him money. He can hire some Mossad people.
Well, look, I'll say this. I think it's reasonable that Trump would have to think, my God, if I've got a Secret Service detail, these are people who, excuse me, my understanding is, if there's like a hotel, right, they'll tell the hotel, if you're in the window of the hotel, we're going to shoot you. So be sure to close your curtains, because nobody in a window of any hotels. How the hell do you not know what's going on this building? I've heard Secret Service people say, we do like 1,000-yard perimeter or something like this. How do you not secure this area? I mean, this is such a gross level of incompetence. It's absolutely shocking.
Well, it was the bystanders. It was the Trump supporters that were saying there's a man over there. He's got a gun, and
no one's
getting
got
on
the balls,
roof.
and no one's got the balls to do anything. They're waiting for orders. Aren't they supposed to act?
Like Uvalde. What the hell's going on? The school shooting.
Yeah.
I look at it like that.
Those are your those are your cops. Those are your cops. Oh, I don't want to do anything. You're a cop. You're a fucking cop. I don't understand this. I'm waiting for orders. There's a guy with a gun. Shoot him. What do you? Okay, I don't get it.
Well, to me, I mean, all of this is left leaning, just at the DEI ineptitude of gender inclusion. It doesn't matter that you're a woman that can't holster a gun. It doesn't matter.
Cherie, there are women. If this is about merit, there are women who can handle this. Although you're right. There are physical things like height.
That woman couldn't holster her weapon.
No, Cherie, I think you can handle it, and I think Susan can handle the fucking job. I mean, this is, it's really about merit, and I mean, there are, when
I would have been walking the perimeter myself. I would have had a bird's eye view on that guy. I am a civilian.
At least you shoot at him.
Oh,
maybe you don't want to kill the 20-year-old, but you shoot at him.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
I would chaos necessary to get Trump off the stage and get him off the roof.
You couldn't tell that he was 20 from 120 yards. The bottom line is that he was not supposed to be there. And
no one's supposed to be there.
Why do people with common sense see and other people that are so afraid to act? And that's because they're afraid to lose their job because of this DEI nonsense, and women feel that they can protect just as good as men can. Look, you know what? There are a few, I'm sure, but come on now, we're not stupid. Well, we're not stupid, but bottom. Go ahead.
Lower the standards. They have to lower the standards.
Exactly.
If the height requirement is 6'2", then the woman damn well better be 6'2".
That's right.
The standards. If a woman wants to compete, they cannot lower the standards, and I know they do.
But yet they've got a 6'2" man swimming against Riley Gaines, and she's just a little thing. And come on. And there's that, and that's supposed to be normal. We've lost our fucking minds in this country, and it's not just the United States of America; it is worldwide. And this is
all of the West.
Yes.
It is the takedown of the West. It is the destruction of Western civilization.
Yeah, the long march through the institutions, and again, I'll come back to people have a Democrat versus Republican mindset, and the idea of a wolf in sheep's clothing, having completely hollowed out the Democratic Party. That's why people just sit there scratching their heads like, what the hell is going on? Like you think back in history of Ronald Reagan and Tip O'Neill, one wants a bigger government, one wants a smaller government, but we're all Americans here. Bill Clinton and Newt Gingrich, one wants a bigger government, one wants a smaller government, but we're all Americans here. Now we're into batshit crazyville, where it's Marxists who have hollowed out your Democratic Party. I mean, I think I'm going to say this. I'm starting to think, Cherie and Susan, I'm really starting to think, and I pray that they have finally pushed it too far. Like that between you're standing up for people who are locking arms and stopping Jews from going to synagogues, okay? They're cornering Jewish students. They're screaming how much they love Hamas. None of the kids know what the hell the history of Israel is, okay? Then you've got guys competing in women's sports. You've got puberty blockers. You've got 14-year-old girls with the double mastectomies. You've got an open border. The country is being invaded. I can just keep going and going, but I think they may have pushed it too far. Susan, you start.
I'm really hopeful because I'm seeing a lot of people on our side going, screw you. You don't call me a homophobe or a racist or any of these things. You don't call me that anymore. You're not getting away with that.
Yeah.
But I'm still seeing people on the left, and I don't have that big a view, that are going, They can't let go of that label of Democrat Party. It's not democratic anymore. You're in the Communist Party, or as I would call it, the Islamist Party, because we're going to see that play into it a lot. But this is a takeover. It is a hostile takeover. Our country is being destroyed, and I'm not being dramatic in saying that. It's been a long time coming. Cherie and I both have been at least a decade, sniffing this out, probably longer. And it just keeps going and going in exactly the pattern that we know it's going in. And it's, I often feel like I'm in the Weimar Republic and I'm yelling at people, come on, stop. No, don't get on the boxcars.
Yeah.
I've seen the ovens and that sign that says work will set you free. But I'm the Nazi.
Yeah. Cherie, your thoughts on this hollowing out of the party? Has it finally gone beyond the pale?
Oh, it has. It has. I mean, for a almost 65-year-old woman, I'm in good shape. And actually, for me, my father fought in World War II on the front lines in the Pacific. Highly awarded for it. That for a 65-year-old woman to start thinking that I need to start training with get some military training. That is what I'm starting to think, because they at this point are so desperate. Susan and I, we've talked about this for all of our friendship, Agenda 21, this world takeover, that they are not going to stop. They are ratcheting it up with Newsom at the helm in California, of course. The lies never stop, never. And I'm very, very highly concerned, because I don't really see a good ending for this unless they absolutely turn around. Trump wins. They don't kill him. That's one thing I'm very afraid of. I think that they are going to continue to try. They will. If he's gone, then all of the United States is going to fall into some form of a civil war. It has to. I mean, there's something bad is going to happen. And we realize that, we're going to have to protect ourselves.
I'll join you in that training, Cherie.
Yeah. I am looking into it, Susan. I truly am.
Okay.
Well, I'm right there with you, and it's. I hate to come back to this, folks. I hate to come back to this, but first they came for the Jews.
Yes.
And when you see Jews, they're locking arms and blocking Jewish people from going to synagogue, and they're beating them in the streets, and they're cornering them, and the college kids are being cornered, and they're being abused. First they start with the Jews, and I'm not. Look, I'm not. It's a different world. They're not going to need to build camps if you live in a world of drones and nukes and all these things. But when you talk about the erosion, who do they come for next? There's Christians in Africa being slaughtered. It doesn't even get on the news. Somebody, a very prominent conservative told me, he said, Josh, your kids are going into college now. Get them a gun, and it's just like, what is the next erosion? What is the next thing? And I'm no conspiracy guy. I just see it right in my face that there's something very, very foul here.
Yeah, very, very true.
I think I know what the next thing is.
What?
There's never been a totalitarian takeover where they didn't starve the people. This bird flu, where they didn't a totalitarian takeover where they didn't starve the people to get their compliance.
It would be hard to starve 350 million people, Susan. We got a lot of agriculture. What do you think?
Not consider COVID, how easy it was to get people to be good little comrades. This bird flu.
We
It's a
also have
way to
18
call.
million. We also have 18 million more mouths to feed that have stormed through our borders as well.
Thank you. Yes.
But okay. Can I just, with your thought though, Josh, about Israel, and I mean, of course, I fly on both my pages, Facebook and X, the Israeli flag. I will not take that flag down until this war is over. But to be called a Zionist, more than a transphobe, and I actually was talking to a friend of my sister's who is very schooled in supposedly Agenda 21. And he turned around and he goes, well, because my sister is married to Alan Levy. He is a Jewish man. And she had left the room and he wanted to make sure she had left the room. And he said, it's the Zionists. And I just said, okay, we have a problem now. I said, you're wrong. Number one, you're wrong. And the fact that you would even say such a thing
That's
shows
horrible.
me that there's something that you and I are no longer going to have a conversation about this.
Who
And
said this?
this is a friend. This is a friend of my sister's who is very much into Agenda 21 about, the New World Order, all of this stuff. They go way back. And it's kind of like, can we just deal with what's happening right in front of us right now? But he blames the Jews for
let
this.
me say this. Yeah, Cherie, let me say this. That is the worst part of, we'll call it the right.
Yes.
There's horrible things on the left, but look at the right fringe. I'll be blunt. Well, this is just a simple reality, and the world does not understand this, and unfortunately, our kids don't quite get this. All Zionist means is you believe that Israel has the right to exist. That is all it means.
Bob Marley's a Zionist.
Most people are Zionists, and
That's right.
I'm a Zionist. I'm proud to be a Zionist.
I am too.
The Jews have a right to be there, and they have the right to defend themselves, and screw you if you don't like it. I mean, I don't know what the hell to tell you.
And you know what I love about Israel is that they make sure that every single child learns. They have to be in the Israeli military.
Yeah.
They have to serve.
Yeah. The women
And you know what? Exactly. I mean, I knew this when I was shooting Foxes. I was dating Joel Blasberg, who was one of the producers on it. And he would go and live in a kibbutz for months at a time and train. And you know what? Americans, we just, and plus come on. I mean, look at our military. It's falling apart because we've got transgender people leading the way. It's just, transgender. There's difference between transsexuals and the transgender movement. And you know what? Nobody wants to serve under that. Nobody.
Critical race theory. Lay down your life for critical race theory. Yeah, good luck.
Exactly. And you know what? None of us, that's why I have this feeling, Susan, that it's kind of important that we start really knowing how to handle weapons and know what to do, because we right now are being sitting ducks.
Well,
they've defunded the police.
Yeah, I see. Wait, I'm going to jump in, Cherie. I'm going to intro. You are exactly right. When I was burglarized about a year ago or whatever, and the cops told me, they said they're going to let this guy out, and they said, by the way, it is becoming very, very difficult to retain police. He said we're all quitting. They know the public doesn't have their back, and in New York, the cops can be sued. What cop can hire attorneys? What are you going to give an attorney $150,000 retainer to every time some shithead accuses you of something you didn't do? And this is, you're right. You're going to have to protect yourself because it's becoming harder and harder to be a cop. But
and three men in Los Angeles were just convicted of shooting a off-duty police officer. He and his wife had given them the jewelry, had done everything right. He wanted to just comply, and they opened fire and killed this man, and they got 50 years in prison. Why not life in prison? Why not life with no possibility of parole? That means in 30 years, these gangbangers are going to get out, or they're going to release them. They're going to release them. And then we've got Gavin Newsom turning around and saying, we've got to start banning some guns here in California. You know what, Newsom? You can F off, you motherfucker. I wouldn't trust this man to lead a fucking parade, a gay parade. I wouldn't trust him We are in deep shit, man. We are in deep shit. And excuse me for getting, as
No, you
riled
got
up
to
as
be
I am, and
honest.
I'm vaping. And excuse the vaping. I apologize for doing this on your
Oh,
show. It's just to
your
be honest.
business.
Well, you know what? I'm waiting for it to come. I'm waiting. It's coming around. It's coming around the mountain when it
Hey,
comes. You
listen,
dig, sister?
Yes,
Coming
absolutely.
around the mountain when it comes, and that mountain's getting smaller and smaller and easier to hike. I'll tell you that much.
I'm reading a biography of Henry Kissinger, the big one by Walter Isaacson, and boy, oh boy, how lucky he was that there were few people in his family who said, "I think we need to get out of Germany now." And just a few months later,
Yeah.
no one was getting out of Germany now, and go ahead.
Well, okay, I didn't have a normal childhood. I'm not a very normal person. But as a kid, there was a while there that I wanted to become Jewish. Anyway, I was very into Judaism, and I I spent my childhood thinking I do not want to be the Jew in Poland saying, "Damn, I should have gotten that when I could have." Right now, we don't have any place to go.
No.
So we're going to have to hunker down.
That's why we have to learn to fight, and that's just the bottom line. This is the nuttiness that the left has ushered into our
Cherie,
lives.
let me offer a less grim alternative. Okay, we can talk now about, do you think Biden even makes it past the convention? Now, the reason I bring this up for a lot of reasons. One of the reasons I'm going to throw this out to you both is, a lot of people are saying, you can't just wait every 4 years to vote for one of two people. Okay, your school board, get elected to your school board, get elected to your local city council, whatever. All these smaller offices. You can it's still a republic, and they still have to hold elections. And if people like us start showing up and getting into positions of power, it's going to be a lot harder to defund the police. It's going to be a lot harder to run this place into the ground. Go ahead,
Good
Cherie.
point, Josh. That really is.
Let's take the head of the snake here. Let's take Gavin Newsom. What now, Susan? Josh. When does he come up for re-election? Does he come up for re-election, or is he done?
I don't know. I wish I knew. I'm ignorant. I think he might be done. I know he's done with California, Cherie. He has no more use for California. His goals are entirely national.
Yeah, he wants to be president. And the thing is that this will be the first time that I will go door to door. I will do everything I can to stop this man. I mean, because he is the head of the snake as far as I'm concerned. He is the most pompous, arrogant, evil, disgusting human being. And he's the Antichrist, in my opinion. He's biblical.
Cherie, we just did an episode a couple episodes back, Susan and I. You'll look on the YouTube. It's called "Beware the Snake." And it's Newsom with a snake. It says "Beware the Snake," and the reason I said that is this, Cherie. He's younger, he's lucid, he's better looking, he's almost as good looking as me, and he's a Democrat. So therefore, I pulled the lever for him because he's not a decrepit mess like Joe Biden. And I'm going to ignore all the wreckage in California and all the DEI, and I'm going to ignore all the transgender directed at children, and I'm going to ignore the free health care for illegals, and I'm going to ignore everything about this disaster of a man because he's younger and almost as good looking as Josh. So I'm going to pull the lever for Gavin Newsom. And Cherie, I'm scared of this. If they put him up, I think he can win.
The only reason why I absolutely agree with you is because he destroyed San Francisco. And I was talking to my sister, Sandra, about it. And her husband, they were supporting Newsom. And I said, well, how can you do that? All you have to do is look at the devastation he left in his wake. Why would you ever vote for a man that is a destroyer? I mean, but yet they did. And I said, I'm going to leave California if he wins. And of course, and my sister laughed. She thought that was funny. And but he to me, this is biblical. This is Nostradamus. This is the handsome man. This is the Omen. This is the handsome man that comes
there you
in.
Go. Yes.
That comes in. That is truly, he is the son of Satan. And you know what? I've always thought that, I love those movies. I am actually fully engaged at this point. This is the Antichrist, if there ever was one. And he acts like it. He believes. He's so pompous and arrogant that he actually, it's almost like he knows he will win. And that is, I wasn't happy about Trump bringing up again the elections. But you know what? I also appreciated it because bottom line is that these numbers don't make sense.
No.
They don't make sense. The 2020 election numbers to me, the common gal, the simple gal, it makes no sense whatsoever. It's almost like he knows he will win. And that is the most horrifying thing to me.
I can't believe we weren't able to oust him. I don't trust the numbers,
well,
but there are a lot of stupid people.
Tell us why we weren't able to oust him, Susan. Do you recall?
Because it's rigged.
Exactly.
I want to remind you.
200,000 signatures. First time they ever checked signatures, may I add, supposedly, that there were 200,000 signatures that they could not.
Signatures for who? Signatures what?
To recall Newsom.
Well, they did recall Newsom. And
no.
Go ahead. What do you mean? You mean since Larry Elder ran against him? What are you talking about?
No, there was a recall, and to be able to put it on the ballot, to recall him to get in.
Wait, a more recent recall than the one against Larry Elder?
The last one.
Okay, well, remember something.
One against Larry Elder. What are you saying? That he lost that, but they didn't enforce it?
No, we couldn't get it on the ballot, even though there was enough signatures. They supposedly looked at the signatures and said 200,000 of them were not eligible.
Well, Susan or Cherie, you remember Larry Elder ran against Newsom, and we had that. Now, I want to tell you something. A couple weeks back, I ran into Larry again. I met him a number of times, and I interviewed him for Horowitz Freedom Center, and he reminded me of just to show you how perverse your media is. Now, remember what the Los Angeles Times called Larry Elder. They called him the black face of white supremacy.
Yeah.
And now Larry jokes about it now, but he was really horrified by it, and he was pissed. He was pissed. I remember watching an interview with him that the LA Times did right after they pulled that shit. And trust me, they wouldn't pull that on anyone. But they called him the black face of white supremacy. Right. So when you mention things like the Omen and forces that are just so perverse, think of what the media is willing to do for Gavin Newsom and how they're willing to package him. We couldn't defeat him in California. We recalled him and couldn't defeat him again.
Mm-hmm. I know. And that's why it doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever.
I'm telling you.
He's failed. I mean, I can walk out my door. Susan knows where I've been in my house a gazillion times. And there are tents everywhere in this heat as well. These poor souls. And we are supposed to be the richest. And we're in such debt. I mean,
we spend billions, and there's never a facility, there's never a solution, there's never the drug treatment, there's never the shelters, there's never the mental hospitals, there's never the treatment, there's never the nothing. There is only billions and billions of dollars being spent going to God knows whose political buddies, and no one has gotten off the street, and it never ends, and all we do is spend, and we scratch our heads and wonder what the hell, and then $24 billion for the homeless in California, and then they turn around and say, we don't know where it went.
And they do nothing for our veterans. Nothing.
No.
All the money they have for illegals. I mean, Nancy Pelosi said, we don't have money for a wall. Well, but they got billions to give to illegals.
Yeah, and they've got billions for this train to nowhere, that was supposed to be finished this year. Of course, now they're saying 2030.
Stop.
But also, now we're hosting the Olympics here in Los Angeles. The shithole of the United States of America is hosting the Olympics.
Look,
With Karen Bass at the helm. Are you kidding
Jesus.
me?
And she'll get reelected
Where's
too.
Caruso? I hope he runs again because she's got to be out. She is
get reelected.
inept. She's another DEI.
No,
She's another DEI hire voted in by imbeciles.
Cherie,
Excuse me.
I hate. Excuse you. What? You're right. I hate to say this. Look at your neighbors. I'm sorry to say this. I hate to say this. There's so many assholes in this state, in this city, in this state. It's so unlike most of America, Cherie. And look, I don't want to dump. I moved here. I always wanted to live here. I begged my father to get transferred here when I was growing up in Buffalo. And I don't. It was a beautiful city. Okay, it was a beautiful city.
It was.
But if there's a couple family reasons why I can't leave here, but I have got to move back to the United States of America. I have got to move back to the United States of America. I go to other places in America. People they're not thinking like this, Cherie. They're not thinking like this.
These people, it's like, well, the more ridiculous it gets, it's like a cult, where the more ridiculous things get, the more faith the person has to have to make sense of it. So the more they suppress logic. And we're at a point now where people are like, oh, I just don't want to know about that.
You know, I'm going to say this. I am constantly reminded when I listen to New Yorkers who are just as batshit as we are. When I listen to people who live in New York, they're just as batshit. I'm constantly reminded of there is an enormous capitalist engine fueling this country. And the only reason that these people are allowed to live in this socialist fantasy land is because of their rich Uncle Sam with his enormous capitalist engine. And you better fucking pray that it keeps on generating the dough to support your insane green fantasies and neo-Marxist fantasies and all the other crap that's swimming in your head. Because if it wasn't for your rich Uncle Sam, we'd be screwed.
That's right.
It's like living in a family where the patriarch of the family is this rich guy. It's like Ayn Rand. The rich guy's got a factory. He makes a ton of money, thank God. But like there's 5 kids and 3 of them are addicts who cannot stop. Okay. And so most of them are just a drain on the family. There's 1 or 2 who are still functioning, but most of them are just a drain on the family. And they better pray to God that their father's factory stays open long enough so that they can be addicts for the rest of their life. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Very, very much so.
And take it from me. I'm a drunk. I'm sober now. Okay. Take it from me. I know what it's like. I go to meetings all the time with a bunch of addicts. I can just imagine the price their families pay. And that's how I look at this left-wing fantasy.
You just made a great point, though, Josh, because these people are addicted to power. Like you and I have been addicted, Susan, all of us addicted to something. They are addicted to power, like the junkie that's probably just down the street from me right now, open air, injecting himself or herself to death. That is what we're dealing with. We are dealing with addicts to power. They will stop at nothing for it. Newsom is the head of the snake. He's got to go somehow, some way. Somehow, some way. He is the Omen. He is the Antichrist. He is Orwell. He is 1984. He is the prophecy to me, to this little, simple person who has common sense, sees it, bing, bang, boom.
Trust your gut, Cherie. Trust your gut. You get a vibe.
Thank God for Elon Musk. He sees it now.
Thank God.
That was the reason that he's pulling out. And the thing is, he goes, you will not, because he's a father. He says, you're not going to take parental rights away.
No, and by the way, I've read, speaking of Walter Isaacson's biography, I read the Elon Musk biography. Elon Musk works on that assembly line of Teslas. He sleeps next to the assembly line. so when when his employees were calling saying, "Oh, I want to work remote 100% of the time," he's like, "No, you can get your ass into the office." He Listen to me now. There's been periods of time where he didn't have a house. Not that he couldn't afford 90 of them. He sleeps right next to the assembly line, and he wakes up and grabs a wrench and goes on the assembly line. Okay, that's who you're working for. He's not just a billionaire. This is a guy swinging a hammer.
Well, you have to look. I look at him as the angel of good. Had he not bought at a ridiculous cost Twitter, had he not done that, there would be no freedom of speech.
No.
We would have been censored. This man, he was the one that extended a hand to the Ukrainians. He was the reason they could call home because of his satellites, and he was demonized for it because he was not going to support this war. He wants it to end because it is not a winnable war.
Never has been, never was. Putin was
never
not
was
unprovoked.
No, well, and you remember Biden turning around and kind of giving us a play-by-play before Russia invaded, that we're watching, we're telling them not to invade. He knew they were going to invade.
Of course.
Well, listen,
instigated it.
Yes.
On that note, let me mention a terrible circumstance this week. Evan Gershkovich, Wall Street Journal reporter, falsely accused by Russian authorities of spying this week, was sentenced after, by the way, a secret trial, sentenced to 16 years in a high-security Russian penal colony after being wrongfully convicted in a hurried secret trial. He has already spent 480 days now in prison. And Biden says he's going to do something. Of course, he has done nothing.
No.
Biden sends a bunch of Valentines, says he's endured his ordeal with remarkable strength. We will not cease in our efforts to bring him home. But of course, it's over 3 years into his presidency, and he hasn't done a goddamn thing.
Which we found out yesterday. That's Jean Pierre. That's the
Corinne Jean Pierre.
She's the one that's sending out all these tweets on behalf of Biden. She actually made a mistake. It didn't switch her to Joe Biden, and she was speaking as the president, but it was her. Yeah. I put it on X. It's hysterical, these people.
And don't forget, because since they released Brittany Griner, everybody has forgotten Paul Whelan, who, by the way, can't stand for the anthem. She can't stand up.
Yeah, exactly.
Paul Whelan is still there. Another 16-year sentence. This is a Russian penal colony. This is Soviet Gulag. It's from the Soviet Gulag days. It's from the Stalin days. It was built during Stalin days. This is where Evan Gershkovich is going. That's where he's going.
People in an American Gulag. I want to look into the January 6th people a lot more.
Oh, absolutely.
They never have happened, and it's continuing to happen.
And the only reason why they're doing it is because they know that, look, they would love to throw us all in prison. All of us. Anyone that leans right, we are the enemy.
And that is why you're not dealing with Tip O'Neill and Ronald Reagan.
No.
You're not dealing with Newt Gingrich and Bill Clinton. And that's how you know. That's how you know. That's the dividing line.
Yeah. All my life, when I started to lean to the right, I was raised right-leaning. And then, you go through your youth and you're like, well, communism isn't so bad. And, you go through your liberal thing. But, once I started to clue in, friends would go, the demonic Democrats it's all the Democrats. And I never wanted to be partisan. I never wanted to say it's the Democrats. I always wanted to say, no, it's like the leftists. People would call people the Antichrist. No. Now, this is the side of evil. And these people are evil because it's so blatant now. And I've resisted that. But
let me conclude with this, and then I'll get both your final thoughts. Reagan famously said, "There is nowhere else to go." When you stop and think, we talk about people fleeing Nazi Germany. They could have gone to what was then called Palestine. They could have come to the United States. Some of them fled to Argentina. Some of them fled to other parts of the world, but the United States was primary. Now, if we don't get a hold of this government from the school board all the way up through the city council, all the way up through the presidency, where the hell are we going to go? So let me get your final thoughts on that. Cherie, you go first, and we'll finish with Susan.
Okay. Well, wow, my thought just went right out of my head. Damn it. First of all, I look at these world leaders, the Schwabs and Soros. I look at all of these people that started this Agenda 21, which came from Bush Sr., so this is bipartisan, handed to Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton basically put the rubber stamp on it. So they knew this was going to be a 30-year deal to steal these children, to change change the whole mental human experience with young people. You can fit them all in the bottom floor of the Whiskey A Go-Go, these people. And they think they're safe. I'm going to tell you right now, if I had Elon Musk's money, I would hire the very best assassins, and I would go after all of them and pick them off one by one. All of these people that we know are a threat to our democracy and our liberty would be gone with one bullet to the head, because I think that might be the only way that we're going to survive this. And I hate to say it, but I come from my father, sergeant in the Marine Corps, Don Currie. And he had to kill a lot of people, a lot of Japanese my father had to kill. And you know what? He did it for this country. And I think that they believe they're safe, and they're not. And I wish I had Elon's money, because that's what I would start doing. Because I think that, you got to take the head of the snake. So I'm sorry. But that is, hey, people die as casualties of war every day. Why are these leaders any different?
Susan?
Why?
Well, they all meet in Davos, It's always been curious to me that nobody's on the ball. People die every day. That's because they're ordinary people and they're expendable. These people literally believe that they're greater than God. Listen to Nova Harari, whatever his name is. That's some sick poopy. They believe that they can do better than nature. They can be bigger than God. It used to be, this isn't even left and right. I mean, for a while there in the 70s, at least the left was, they claimed to be very into the environment, and it was all about, you can't fool Mother Nature. Don't fool Mother Nature. I couldn't agree more, because that's where God is for me. These people are fucking Mother Nature. And don't fall
and
for
surgically changing it.
Yeah.
Don't fuck with Mother Nature, but let us destroy your children's bodies. What a bunch of clowns. Go ahead. Sorry that I interrupted you.
Electric cars, it's a good idea. I love Elon for getting the Teslas going. I was very into the electric cars, but this forced movement to make everybody switch over, no, that is not for the planet. That is to make you poor and miserable. That is the goal.
And I had a 4-hour rolling blackout last night with 100 degrees outside.
No reason for any of that.
Exactly.
Okay.
Right, Susan? That was rough.
I'm so glad you have your power back now.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll finish with this. I'll give you a couple book recommendations. Green Tyranny. Green Tyranny is a book about the Marxist underpinnings of the Green movement. And yes, electric cars are a lovely idea, but the fact of the matter is you're going to destroy Western civilization with these fantasies, these nonsensical fantasies. Fossil Future is out there. That's another book. Alex Epstein, brilliant guy. Take a look at some of this green stuff. I'm not a climate change denier. I'm a catastrophe denier. There is no catastrophe at hand. The climate has changed. It has always changed. It will change and change again. We are a blip on the ass of time, folks. So don't tell me what the fuck. Don't tell me what the temperature was 75 years ago. It doesn't mean a goddamn thing. All right. Then there's another book you need to read. Since she brought up her father, you need to read Neon Angel by Cherie, the great Cherie Currie, our from our crack news staff here at the Crusher. She is the lead newswoman for the Crusher, and we're so glad to have her here. Go conquer Europe, please, and please, for God's sake, Cherie, talk some sense into Europe while you're there. And
Yes.
we love you, and
Love
kisses
you.
for you. And we will talk to you, Susan. I love you. I'll talk to you soon. And thank you for watching another episode of the Crusher. Thanks again, Cherie.
Thank you.